Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathiran amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Last hadith that we explained from wal-Marjan was in Kitab al-Siyam, the chapter of fasting, or the book of fasting. And we're speaking on fasting Ashura. Fasting Ashura. And some of the rulings that pertain to the fast of Ashura. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. So, if my memory serves me correctly, we went over the legislation of Ashura, why it was legislated, what the Prophet ﷺ says to the companions regarding Musa ﷺ being delivered from Pharaoh and his oppression, and the dedication of that day, and the Prophet ﷺ deserving Musa and honoring Musa more than the Yahud of Medina, who didn't follow Musa's teachings of Muhammad ﷺ coming. طيب, khairan inshallah ta'ala. So hadith 692, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, I believe we went over that. And then hadith 693, with regards to Ashura being fasted in Medina by the Yahud, and the Prophet ﷺ says, فَصُومُوهُ أَنْتُمْ, so you guys fast. If they're doing it, then I want you to do it. Also, hadith 694, hadith ibn Abbas رضي الله عنهما قال ما رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يتحرى صيام يوم فضله على غيره إلى هذا اليوم يوم عاشوراء وهذا الشهر يعني شهر رمضان. With regards to the Prophet ﷺ looking forward to fasting Ashura and placing a great deal of importance on fasting it, and also the month of Ramadan. So let's move forward to chapter number 21, in which it says, باب من أكل في عاشوراء فليكف بقية يومه. حديث سلمة بن الأكوع رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعث رجلا ينادي في الناس يوم عاشوراء أن من أكل فليتم أو فليصم ومن لم يأكل فلا يأكل. حديث الربيع أو الربيع بنت معوذ رضي الله عنها قالت أرسل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم غداة عاشوراء إلى قرى الأنصار من أصبح مفطرا فليتم بقية يومه ومن أصبح صائما فليصم. قالت فكنا نصومه بعد ونسوم صبياننا ونجعل لهم اللعبة من العهن فإذا بكى أحدهم على الطعام أعطيناه ذاك حتى يكون عند الإفطار. Chapter number 21 says, he who ate on the day of Ashura should not during the remaining part of that day. Whoever was not fasting, and then later on they figured out and they came to the realization that it's Ashura, they should finish the remainder of the day fasting and not eating. That's what they should do. Showing you the importance of the day, the sacred nature of the day, and how vital this day is, the day of Ashura. So we have two hadiths in this chapter. First is the narration of Salama ibn al-Aqwa, hadith 695. And then we have the hadith of Rubayy' bint Mu'awwidh, hadith 696. The first hadith says, narrated Salama ibn al-Aqwa radiallahu anhu, once the Prophet ﷺ ordered a person on the day of Ashura to announce, whoever has eaten should not eat anymore, but observe Sawm. And who has not eaten should not eat, but should complete his fast. 696 is narrated by Rubayy' bint Mu'awwidh, may Allah be pleased with her. The Prophet, peace be upon him, sent a messenger to the village of the Ansar in the morning of the day of Ashura to announce, whoever has eaten something should not eat but complete fast, and whoever is observing the Sawm should complete it. She further said, since then we used to observe Sawm on that day regularly, and also make our boys, our children, to do so. We used to make toys of wool for the boys, and if any one of them cried for food, he was given those toys. There was time for iftar, until it was time for iftar. طيب. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, or moving forward with regards to the explanation of this from al-Minhaj, he says rahimahullah, طيب معنى الروايتين أن من كان نوى الصوم فليتم صومه ومن كان لم ينوي الصوم ولم يأكل أو أكل فليمسك بقية يومه حرمة لليوم كما لو أصبح يوم الشك مفطرا ثم ثبت أنه من رمضان يجب إمساك بقية يومه حرمة لليوم واحتج أبو حنيفة بهذا الحديث لمذهبه أن صوم رمضان وغيره من الفرض يجوز نيتهم في النهار ولا يشترط تبييتها. قال لأنهم نووا في النهار وأجزأهم. قال الجمهور ولا يجوز رمضان ولا غيره من الصوم الواجب إلا بنية من الليل. وأجابوا عن هذا الحديث بأن المراد إمساك بقية النهار لا حقيقة الصوم، والدليل على هذا أنهم أكلوا ثم أمروا بالإتمام. وقد وافق أبو حنيفة وغيره على أن شرط إجزاء النية في النهار في الفرض والنفل أن لا يتقدمها مفسد للصوم من أكل أو غيره. وجواب آخر أن صوم عاشوراء لم يكن واجبا عند الجمهور كما سبق في أول الباب، وإنما كان سنة متأكدة. وجواب ثالث أنه ليس فيه أنه يجزيهم ولا يقضونه بل لعلهم قضوه، وقد جاء في سنن أبي داود في هذا الحديث فأتموا بقية يوم وقضوه. طيب, he discusses these technicalities which are based off of the previous technicalities, and they are: was Ashura obligatory? Was it mandatory, or was it just recommended? Was Ashura once mandatory in the early days, and then it was abrogated, it was canceled? It was no longer mandatory to fast that day. So we previously mentioned what the scholars of Islam say about that. We mentioned that in detail in the previous classes. Some held the view that it was mandatory and then it was abrogated, and others held the view that it was not mandatory and it was always recommended, etc. That technicality leads to another fiqh technicality, and that is, what is the ruling on fasting a day without making the intention at night? Like we explained in detail, it's after Fajr. I did not make my intention to fast. It's 9 a.m. I didn't eat, I didn't drink, I had no sexual intercourse. Can I now say, you know what, I'm going to fast today? Or I had to have made my intention at night before Fajr came in. We explained that technicality, what the ulama of Islam say regarding that, and this proves once more our golden principle: for one thing we learn 10,000 things. One fiqh issue leads to another fiqh issue. One fiqh ruling leads to another fiqh ruling. So the scholars, they differ on that with regards to Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and the majority of the scholars or the fuqaha, and what they say: can a person do a fast in the daytime without the intention at nighttime, as long as they didn't eat, drink, or have sexual intercourse after the Fajr came in? Now, the concept of can that be done for nafil and not a fard? They differ on that. And many scholars, they say, if not most of them here, they say, is that this can be done as long as one did not eat, drink, or have intercourse for the nafil and not the fard. Not the fard. So, if a person woke up for Fajr and they didn't have the intention to fast, and they're looking for breakfast, and they can't figure out what they want to eat for breakfast. I'm trying to think what I want to eat. Or my stomach is aching. Or anything happens and it's 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Man, I haven't eaten yet. You know what? I'm just going to fast. Then they say that's permissible. First and foremost, that is a recommended day of fasting. A person did not eat, they did not drink, and they did not have intercourse. As far as if a person already had his or her breakfast, you can't change your mind later on. As far as if a man was intimate with his wife, a woman was intimate with her husband, can't change your mind later on. Right? Khairan, inshallah. And then the difference is with regards to the mandatory fast. The mandatory fast, the fard fast, can a person make his or her intention in the daytime or not? There's another technicality over which they differ, and the intention for the mandatory fast should be made at night before the Fajr comes in. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. That's in brief and on a simplified version. As far as some of the fawaid of this hadith, like the previous hadiths, then it is the virtue of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. The virtue of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. And this also goes to show is that the Muslims are not allowed, they're not to allow disbelievers and faith rejectors and mushrikun, they are not to allow them to monopolize the true and real things. We should not allow them to monopolize those things. When Musa is mentioned, it shouldn't be a monopoly just to the Yahud. Isa is mentioned, it shouldn't be a monopoly to the Christians. It should be known that we believe too. We love them, we respect them as well. And the fork in the road is Jesus was not divine. He's not the Son of God. He's not God's only begotten Son. That's the fork in the road. Him coming from a miraculous birth, miraculous conception, being a prophet, a messenger, being noble, curing, so on and so forth, no problem. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam is not the final messenger of God. We don't believe that he's the final and last messenger. There's someone who came after him, people who came after him. That's the fork in the road. As far as Moses crossing the Red Sea, Moses being sent to Banu Israel, and being a messenger of Allah, Kalim ar-Rahman, Allah speaking to him directly. All of that we believe in and we accept. Khairan inshallah. And this also applies to the Muslims. The Muslims. And you look at the dawah scene today, and the people, they attack people. A person says something or does something, and they call him a name. The Muslims need to unify. The Muslims need to unify. That's all a person says. A person doesn't say Quran, Sunnah, Fahm Salaf, just to say the Muslims have to be united. You can't come and say, oh, he's an Ikhwani. A Muslim, he comes along and he says it is haram to rule with other than the Sharia. It's haram. Cannot be done. It is haram to replace the Sharia with man-made laws. It's haram to make wala with the kuffar and the mushrikun, so on and so forth. He's khawarij. He's surur. He's la. Those are true things, principles, values from Quran and Sunnah. And if there's a group or a speaker or a person who calls to them, it doesn't mean that we allow them to monopolize those principles and those values. So the Jews were doing something. The Prophet ﷺ says, we deserve Moses more than they do. And he didn't say, oh, let the Jews do it because it's their way. And this obviously is a mazalla. It's a major patch of ice that many people, they slip on. When it comes to dawah, when it comes to the West and the Middle East, they slip on this. And they automatically, falsely, and wrongly accuse anyone who says something from the Quran and Sunnah that's from a slogan of other groups, he's automatically with that group. And that's incorrect. That's incorrect. Another fact that we take from this hadith is the importance and the virtue of the day of Ashura. Also, we see here the high aspirations of the pious predecessors and how they wanted their children to grow up and they wanted to be righteous. They want your children to be righteous. And they force their children to do certain things to promote their righteousness, to take a sacrifice to promote their children's righteousness. And also was to show us is that Islamic righteousness doesn't happen overnight. Whether it's a year or a lifelong mission. And the child has to be taught and educated and cultivated from day one. And you can't expect your child to just immediately pop up and just become righteous without the time and the effort. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Moving forward. Chapter number 22. The author says, باب النهي عن صوم يوم الفطر ويوم الأضحى. حديث عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال هذان يومان نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن صيامهما يوم فطركم من صيامكم واليوم الآخر تأكلون فيه من نسككم. حديث أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ولا صوم في يومين الفطر والأضحى. حديث ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن زياد بن جبير قال جاء رجل إلى ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما فقال رجل نذر أن يصوم يوما قال أظن قال الاثنين فوافق يوم عيد فقال ابن عمر أمر الله بوفاء النذر ونهى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن صوم هذا اليوم. So the next chapter, it is forbidden to observe fasting on the day of Fitr and the day of Al-Adha. It's prohibited, either haram or disliked, to fast on the days of the Eid. So this is another ruling of fasting, whether it pertains to Ramadan or other than Ramadan. So from the days that a person is not allowed to fast are these 2 days. You cannot fast on the day of the Eid, Eid Fitr, nor on the day of Al-Adha. It cannot be done, it should not be done. طيب. Hadith 697, 698, and 699 are all similar with regards to the prohibition. The first translation says, narrated Abu Ubaid. Moving forward, it says, narrated Khattab, who said, Allah's Messenger ﷺ has forbidden people to observe fasting on the day in which you break your fast and the day in which you eat the meat of your sacrifices. Hadith 698 is narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Allah be well pleased with him. The Prophet ﷺ said, no fast is permissible on 2 days, the Fitr Eid and the Adha Eid. Then Hadith 699 is narrated by Ziyad ibn Jubair. A man went to Ibn Umar and said a man vowed to observe fasting on one day that he said the day was Monday, and that happened to be on the Eid day. Ibn Umar said Allah orders vows to be fulfilled, and the Prophet forbade Sawm on this day. All three hadiths, the main highlighting point is clear, is that it's prohibited to fast during those days. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here regarding this chapter, وَقَدْ أَجْمَعَ الْعُلَمَاءُ عَلَى تَحْرِيمِ صَوْمِ هَذَيْنِ الْيَوْمَيْنِ بِكُلِّ حَالٍ سواء صامهما عن نذر أو تطوع أو كفارة أو غير ذلك ولو نظر صومهما متعمدا لعينهما. طيب، قال الشافعي والجمهور لا ينعقد نذره ولا يلزمه قضاؤهما، وقال أبو حنيفة ينعقد ويلزمه قضاؤهما، قال فإن صامهما أجزأه، وخالف الناس كلهم في ذلك. Nawawi says that the scholars of Islam unanimously agree, there's no difference of opinion, is that it is impermissible to fast on these days. There's consensus of the scholars of Islam is that one cannot fast on the days of the Eid. Move forward. No matter what the case may be, whether it was a vow that you made to Allah, oh Allah, if you cure my sick grandmother, oh Allah, if you allow me to pass this exam, regardless of the vow, or whether it is a recommended fast or an expiation, you did something illegal and you have to make the kafara, doesn't matter. And if regardless of the reason. طيب, Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah and the majority of the jurists, they say is that if a person makes that vow, the vow is invalid, and he does not have to make up the vow. It is invalid, and he doesn't have to make it up. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah says that it is valid, even though it's haram, and it must be made up. And if he fasts those 2 days, then the fast will be valid. And Nawawi says that all of the people differ with Abu Hanifa in this issue. No one else agrees with Abu Hanifa in this issue. So what do we benefit and learn from this? This is an issue here very important for the student of knowledge, and also for the layman, and many issues. And that is, if an act is haram, does it mean that it is invalid? Just because it's impermissible, does that mean that it is invalid? And of course, you should be thinking right now, the most common example of this would be talaq bid'ah. There lies no doubt that it is haram to divorce a menstruating woman. You cannot divorce your wife after you had intercourse with her. She's not pregnant. She's in a pure state. You're not sure whether she's pregnant or not. You cannot divorce her. It's impermissible. Haram. But if you do divorce her in that state, does the divorce count? That's the famous widespread issue that's very popular in the world, especially in our country, in our where we come from in the West. A man has 2 divorces. He loves his wife, she loves him, but they fight, they argue, they differ. He's angry, blah, 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 and he says, talaq, khalas, you're divorced. Then 2 hours later, he says, oh, snaps, subhanAllah, that was the 3rd divorce. Oh man, what am I going to do? So the wife, we're no longer allowed to be with each other, right? And the husband says, no, come back, I'm sorry, I love you, subhanAllah. Then the imam, he gets the phone call at 2 a.m. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh, I'm sorry, subhanAllah, please help me, I divorced her 3rd time, and but she was menstruating. Or, we were intimate and then we got into an argument. Please give me a fatwa, Shaykh, what should I do? It doesn't count, right? Now, that imam at 2 a.m. says, no, it doesn't count. She's still your wife. But the wife, she left the house. She says, we're no longer together, khalas. And she's under the teachings that the divorce did count. She goes on Islam Q&A or islamweb.com, whatever, and she finds another fatwa. Now, what do we do? The husband says that it is invalid because I called my imam at the masjid, and the wife, she read a translated fatwa from scholars in the Middle East. What happens now? So therefore, does a impermissible divorce count? It's haram to fast on the day of the Eid, but does it count? So this is a very important issue here with regards to properly understanding the hadiths and the fiqh of Islam. So most of the scholars hold the view that the vow made for fasting the day of the Eid does not count. It is invalid, and a person does not have to make it up. And Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, he held the view that it does, and he has to do it. It's valid. Tayyib. Last but not least, we see here Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, no, he clearly says, وَخَالَفَ النَّاسِ كُلَّهُمْ فِي ذَلِكَ, that Abu Hanifa went against everyone else. He went against every single other person. This is problematic. And that is because Abu Hanifa, according to Nawawi, and many other scholars, is one of the 4 Imams. Rather, the first of the 4 Imams. And according to many scholars, he's the grandfather of the ulama, the fuqaha, the trailblazer of the 4 Imams, right? So, with that being said, Abu Hanifa is clearly going against the majority of the fuqaha. But it's okay. He's still an Imam, he's still. But if there's another scholar who goes against the majority of the ulama, then it's blameworthy and it's condemned. And they say shudud, shadh, whether it be Ibn Hazm or other than Ibn Hazm. Modern day people today, those people who have different aqidas, different orientations concerning fiqh, so on and so forth, they say Ibn Taymiyyah went against all of the scholars in this issue. Ibn Taymiyyah went against all of the fuqaha in this issue. Sheikh al-Albani went against all 4 Imams in this issue. And they use it as a dalil for 2 things. Number 1 is that the ruling is wrong. And the second issue that they use that for dalil is that this Imam can't be trusted. We have to stay away from him because he's just going against the traditional orthodox scholars. But what about Abu Hanifa rahimahullah? And how many times in this humble explanation have we read issues like this? Everyone holds the view and Imam Malik is on one side. Everyone holds the view and Shafi'i is on this side. All of the ulama, the majority of the ulama, the fuqaha, this and that, hold the view, and Imam Muhammad is on this side. Why are they still Imams? How are they still respected and regarded? So you have to be just now. Either you're going to look at the proof and the evidence, no matter who, or you're going to say anyone who goes against the majority is discarded as a scholar and cannot be trusted. Abu Hanifa, Ahmed, Ibn Hazm, Albani, Ibn Taymiyyah. You can't pick and choose. And that's unfair, and that is what is known as a tahakkum. And what you pick and choose, you cherry pick which principle you want to use against who you like and who you don't like. All right? So please be mindful of that, guys. Be mindful of that. And the same applies to other people of different orientations. When it's convenient for them, it's the Quran and Sunnah. When that's not convenient, it's Quran and Sunnah and what the pious predecessors said. When there's proof in their statements from those 3 sources, then they say, well, what did the scholars say? The scholars have not understood that. You bring the statements of the scholars, say, oh, we don't take from that scholar. Then you quote a scholar they do take from. It says, oh, he's dead. Sheikh bin Baz, Uthaymeen, they've passed away. What about the modern day scholars? Okay, here are the modern day scholars. We're moving down the line now. Quran, Sunnah, They say, oh no, that scholar doesn't specialize in the issue. Then you bring a scholar who does specialize in the issue and say, oh, well, he's not above scholar such and such. It's not a folly. Fiqh is not a folly. Dawah is not a folly. In which you can just play around and cherry pick what you want. And so the fiqh has to be consistent. You have to go with the principles consistently. This is proof and evidence that this is halal, regardless of how many said it. Or we have to look at the number, the quantity of scholars and fuqaha to hold opinion to be correct or incorrect. As far as jumping back and forth in the middle, when and how you want, nah, it's not going to work like that. Khair, inshallah. Let's move forward. From the fawaid of these hadiths in this chapter here, first and foremost is طيب. More different issues with regards to the Eid. We mentioned that. Do we have to make them up? We mentioned that already. He says here, وكذلك لو صادف أيام التشريق لا يجب قضاؤه في الأصح. Also the tashriq days as well, right? After the day of Eid of Al-Adha. The fa'idah from Hadith 699 is the clarification of the scholar and to push the people away from confusion and mixing and jumbling between apples and oranges. Ibn Umar, the hadith clearly says, أمر الله بوفاء النظر, that Allah has commanded for vows to be fulfilled. I don't disagree with you on that. Comma, وَنَهَى النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ عَنْ صَوْمِ هَذَا الْيَوْمِ. But the Prophet has forbidden you from fasting on this day. So it goes to show you that the scholar is to clarify. And this is also another major dawah problem today with many people, not mentioning no names or no groups or names of groups, is that they fight and they argue with their opponents and they make the difference on things over which there's no difference. No one is different over this theoretical principle. No one is different over this ruling. We're different on, is this person considered to be an innovator or not? Or it could be any issue. And they'll spend the majority of their time and their energy and their attacks and their slander and their insults on something which is not even the mahallun niza'. And this isn't an accident. This is a program, proven program of theirs. And obviously you can't blame the baby chickens. They're not responsible for this behavior. They're responsible. They're just blind following those who are above them, who taught them this evil behavior of, let's insinuate these fights, and let's use these provocative titles and headings in our papers and our speeches over something that the muwafiq and the mukhalif on the issue, or the who's fighting, they don't even differ on that. So Ibn Umar, he clearly said, there's nothing wrong with fulfilling your vows. Allah said that, but the Prophet said, don't fast on this day. So therefore, don't mix apples and oranges. Clear. Also, the concept of al-am and al-khas, general and specific. And also, no difference among with Ibn Umar with regards to what Allah has decided and what the Messenger has decided. There's no difference, and there's no superiority of the Quran over the Hadith with regards to fiqh, the rulings. If it is established in the Hadiths, it's equal to that which is established in the Quran. If it's only mentioned in the Hadiths, it doesn't have to be in the Quran for it to be a ruling. Everybody clear on this, inshallah ta'ala. Khayran. Next chapter says, Babu Karati Siyam al-Jum'ah. And inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here with regards to fasting on Jum'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Walhamdulillah.